Okay, this next video we're talking about additive inverses, and additive inverses is just basically the opposite. Okay, it just means it's the negative form of it, okay, or the opposite form of it. Okay, and so they gave us this example, 8x squared minus 4x plus 3, and they want you to write the additive inverse of it. And so basically the opposite of it is just what happens if you put a negative to it, right? Okay, so if we were talking about factoring, okay, you would just basically pull out a negative, but instead, if we showed it this way, you could say like the additive inverse of 8x squared minus 4x plus 3 would be negative 8x squared minus 4x plus 3, okay, which if you put that in, that's going to end up giving you what? Negative 8x squared plus 4x minus 3. Okay, so the additive inverse of 8x squared minus 4x plus 3 is basically just making everything the opposite sign. Okay, that's what additive inverse means. Okay, now this will come in handy when you're trying to simplify. Sometimes you'll get things that are the opposite signs. Okay, and if you pull out a negative 1 or you factor out a negative 1, it'll change it to the right way. Okay, and so like let's look at this example they gave us. They gave us x minus 4 over 4 minus x. Okay, and you're supposed to simplify this and basically reduce if you can. And if you look at it, it doesn't. It's not the same, so you can't do that. Okay, so what you need to do then is you need to change one of them to match the other, right? So in this case, if you look at this problem, what if I took the top one, okay, or the numerator, and I pulled out negative 1? Okay, so if I pull out negative 1, it's going to switch the signs of everything, right? So this becomes negative 1 times negative x plus 4, right? By pulling out that negative 1, it switched the signs of both of them. Okay, now I still have the 4 minus x on the bottom, right? Now, I want these to match, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to flip these around. So I get negative 1 times 4 minus x on top, and I have 4 minus x on the bottom. Okay, and now look at, they match. So I can cross cancel those, or I can cancel those out, and I'm left with just negative 1. Okay, that's what an additive inverse means. It just, we've actually talked about this in the past, but basically it's just pulling a negative 1 out and switching the signs of everything. Okay, that way you can have something that you can actually reduce and so forth. Okay, let's look at a couple of these examples. Okay, so the first example is 3x minus 6 over 2 minus x. Oh, that's not a very good x. So on the top I would pull out my 3, and I would have 3 times x minus 2 over 2 minus x. Okay, and that's where, see, right now they're so close, but the signs are the opposite. So instead of 3, what I should have done is pulled out that negative, right? Okay, I could have just made that negative 3 and I'd have been fine. Okay, and in your notes it has you pull out the negative out of the bottom. It doesn't matter which side you pull it out of, it's the same thing. Okay, so if I'd have just pulled out negative 3 in the beginning, it would have switched all my signs. So I'm going to change this to negative 3 times, and this would be negative x plus 2, and you got 2 minus x on the bottom, and then we just switched their places, right? So we got negative 3 times 2 minus x over 2 minus x. And now those cancel, and I'm left with negative 3. Okay, now if you can figure out exactly how to do this, you don't have to rewrite this 3 times. Okay, so don't freak out about that. I'm not going to make you do that. However, if it helps you to change the signs first and then flip them, please do that so that you don't make simple errors. Okay. All right, let's look at another example. I'm just going to shrink it down and move it off to the side for you. Let's go blue. How about that? So we got 1 minus y squared over y squared minus 4y plus 3. Okay? And so the first step should be to factor. So if we factor those down, we have 1 plus y, 1 minus y, because they are a difference of 2 squares. And on the bottom, we are left with y minus 1 and y minus 3. Okay, so on the top we have this 1 minus y, and on the bottom we have y minus 1. So let's pull out our negative 1. Doesn't matter which side you pull it out of. In the notes it did it on the top, so we'll do that too. So by pulling out our negative 1, okay, we are left with this 1 minus y becomes y minus 1, and then we have 1 plus y, okay, which also could be written as y plus 1, right? And then on the bottom we have y minus 1 and y minus 3. And now those two cancel, so we're left with negative 1 times 1 plus y over y minus 3. Running out of space, let me shrink it down. And then we should distribute that negative 1 back in, so we got negative 1 minus y over y minus 3. Okay? Alright, so there's some try these next. Give those a shot. Okay, so let's take a look. The first one, b minus 7 over 7 minus b. So we'll just pull the negative 1 out of the top. Negative 1, and we have 7 minus b over 7 minus b. Those cancel. We're left with negative 1. There you go. Okay, on the bottom, 5 minus 2a over 3 times 2a minus 5. So we'll pull the negative 1 out of the top again. And we got 2a minus 5 and 3 times 2a minus 5. Those two cancel. We're left with negative 1 over 3. That's pretty simple. And the last one, let's do some factoring. We're going to pull out a 4 on top. And since I already we'll do this first. Pull out the 4, you got x minus 3 over, pull out a 2, and we're left with 3 minus x. Okay, and so we see we have the negative, they're just the opposites there, so let's change this to negative 4 times 3 minus x over 2 times 3 minus x. And now those two cancel, and our 2 and our 4 also cancel to 2 and 1, so we're left with negative 2. Alright, hopefully that makes sense. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. But that's what you need to know about additive inverses. All this right here, this video and the one before it, make up your simplifying rational expressions, so you should be doing some worksheets along with these two.